Hello, it's me, Mario, and we're gonna be unclogging a sluice so that we can pass through and count it as beaten. We've got some panels here, and even though we're clicking them and the bar, like the indicator, shows that the chamber is empty now, it doesn't mean that the water went where we wanted it to go, because this one is still empty as well. And the idea, from what I remember from the datapad, is that we're pushing all the water first away from ourselves down the corridor and then only to the side. So I think now we ought to fill this one with water. This will be empty. This one is filled with water as well, so we'll unfill it. This will be open. And now we can use this.
Warning. Activating flow control may flood occupied chambers. Please ensure all receiving chambers are empty.
It says, activating flow control may flood occupied chambers. May flood occupied chambers. Which, the only occupied chamber that we know there is the one we're in, right? We can't flood our party members if they just so happen to position themselves on the other, in the other room, chamber. And but that's not what the check is for. It's just the warning system for the less intelligent, like it was described in the datapad, and it doesn't really describe the only chamber that you're in. You can proceed. There we go, water's over. And if it turns out that you're trying to flood yourself, it will just not do it. So at least there's that. At least it won't just kick you out of the game on a game over. So this chamber is empty now. And this one's open, and we've beaten the puzzle. Difficult one. Well, like the biggest problem is that if you decide to click the panel where the water is in, it will empty the chamber, but it won't flood the adjacent chamber so that you can move that water. There is somewhere, I don't know where, I can't see. I don't really, or at least it's not clearly described enough in the datapad, where there is somewhere that this water can be stored, but apparently it's not enough to store it somewhere away from the chambers to just allow for going in and moving the water into the like third chamber above both of them in a row, like here in the rows or columns, depending on how you want to look at it. But we're through, so I think we're just gonna go around. That'll be faster, and there will be event once we go up. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna say that you remember when there was KotOR enacted on YouTube, and YouTube pushed it all off to the users, making them select whether the video they have uploaded is for children or not, and there was no middle ground. Like the video isn't the entire family friendly. It's only if it is for children or it's not for children. And if you're talking about something that you might have liked as a child, and it's just nothing wrong with liking, like it's family friendly still, like entire Lego sets for instance for kids who can deal with techniques and maybe even motors. That was obligatory. There's a new option for you to interact with, and it's an option for you to select whether the video is made with AI or not. And this isn't legal, this isn't enforced, this isn't necessary, this isn't mandatory. You don't have to select whether your video is made with AI or not. You can select either, and there are no penalties to any of that, from what I know. They won't demonetize your channel because it's not suitable for advertisement, because you can't advertise to robots. So, and you can also lie. I don't know if there are gonna be any repercussions in the future about that, but so far, also from all the videos that are already made on other channels, it's not stated anywhere that this one was or wasn't made with AI, so it's not like you can verify it as a viewer anyway. So that's an option that exists. What for? I don't know. So that they have some legal thing later on. Just lie, I guess. Just lie. What are they gonna do? How are they gonna check it? You there, human! You are placed under the arrest of the Ahto City Civil Authority. What? Why? I have done nothing wrong. You'll never take me alive. I'm gonna go for the third one because it breaks them all the most, and it would stir up the most trouble. Meaning, it would require the programs to code some response to that. But other than that, you should not aggravate alleged arrest to assault on peace officers, is one thing. And second, officially you should not consent to any searches or seizures, including your own person. Record everything, and with anything, when push comes to shove, sue them back for unlawful detainment. So, like I said, let's go with maybe at least alignment points. You'll never take me alive. Do not be foolish, human. We have the entire armed forces on Manan at our disposal. You will submit to our authority. Entire Manan armed forces at their disposal. Yeah, they're the government. Though the Sith embassy here is considered sovereign territory of the Sith Empire, we have been monitoring an alarming number of weapon discharges and detonations from within the base. Alright, so he says overwhelming force and there's like barely 6 droids. Inquiries to the staff of the embassy yielded no response. It would seem that contact had been cut. He says, we have all the armed forces available to our disposal. Yeah, you're the government, you've got the army of the world. Our cameras recorded you entering the base shortly before the contact was lost and fighting apparently began. But you're not sending it all against me here. It is the conclusion of the Ahto City Civil Authority that you are responsible for the disturbance here, and you are hereby placed under arrest. You will come with us to await your trial. As material witnesses, the individuals who accompany you will be detained at your vessel, and the vessel itself prohibited from leaving Manan. We will leave, now. Do not attempt to resist, or we shall resort to overwhelming force. And I can easily overwhelm those 6 droids and the Ahto City Salkath representative. Greetings, human. I'm called Boalas, and I have been selected as your arbiter for the duration of your trial. Next, there are no reports from the embassy that there is anything going on, and yet they decided, since no one's reporting anything, it must be bad, so they sent in forces and detained us anyway. That's dumb, right? No one's reporting any crime. It might have been like live fire training for the Selkathir as well, right? That's covered for, like, they've got the consent, they've got the facilities, they've got the agreements, because the Selkaths are there, agreed to be there and are training. On top of that, they say they had no contact, as if all the Sith on Manan are localized in this embassy and we've killed all of them, so we essentially left no witnesses anymore, and wherever they would try to turn, no one would report anything because everyone's dead. No one would stir up any trouble saying that it's suspicious or that anything is out of the ordinary. Also, technically you don't need that as long as you get in and see dead bodies, and things would be explained over that. But that's not what they said they have. They said they have recordings of firefighting down in the base somehow. Like, if Sith embassy is a sovereign territory on Manan, or even on Ahto City, why do they have access to those recordings? They're private at this point. You don't get to just have them. And if you have recordings of that, why don't you have any recordings of all the people trying to install sluices in the area and seeing that as suspicious? Xenophobic fucking fish people. Also, witnesses are not material witnesses. They are witnesses and there are material evidence. That's the specific distinction, where witnesses are of a lesser quality than actual material evidence like recordings. So you also cannot detain people even though one of them is a droid and the other is black. You can't just detain them as material evidence, you racists. And yeah, the overwhelming force that they've got access to, being the entire army of the world or the system or the entire empire or government in their colonies, yeah, they're gonna call them all in on me and I'll probably be able to defeat them anyway because the game isn't that difficult and I've got a lot of med packs. It's the worst that they decided to represent the overwhelming force with 6 droids, and we've got a guy specifically spec'd against droids, and also the best guy, me, and also we've got another droid who can just hack them. Yeah, that's not an option, but that would be interesting if it was possible. Well then, so we've got an attorney appointed to us, a lawyer. It's called an arbiter, though it's a term for judges, not the legal representatives of a plaintiff or the other thing, defendant. So we're not gonna ask what an arbiter is. That's pretty clear. We're not that stupid. What have I been charged with? I don't need anyone to represent me. Get me out of here. Technically, his job is to get me out of here, so we don't have to tell him that. We also don't need him to represent us because he's a xenophobic alien who will most definitely work against us anyway. But a very important thing is to know what we're charged with. So, what have I been charged with? You have been charged with initiating violence within the Sith Embassy, murdering members of the Ambassadorial Commission of the Sith Empire, and disregarding our own laws regarding violence in Ahto City. I'm free to instigate violence against Sith. I'm not a representative of the Republic, where doing that would cause trouble for an entire side of the war that they would ban from being able to obtain KotOR anymore. So I can do whatever, other than the fact that I cannot instigate violence at all anywhere, because that's the law everywhere. Really, you can't just go up and beat up people. So within the Sith Embassy, you don't know, allegedly, but that's beside the point, murdering members of the Ambassadorial Commission of the Sith Empire and disregarding our own laws regarding violence in Ahto City. Yes, your own laws regarding violence in Ahto City. You're so unique about this one. I would like to refer you back to the first episode on Manan, where I talked about, and the second probably as well, where I talked about how their laws need to be the same as you know everywhere else, but also different, but also the same. Like, don't do illegal things. Yeah, instigating violence is illegal. Doing violence is illegal without consent, if it's not sport, right? Obviously, it's assault. Assault is legal. I don't know if you know. How will you get me free? What can I do? It's all the Sith's fault. Also, yeah, at the beginning, where we got out of the elevator, the headcanon is that we said nothing, and we didn't agree to anything, rather than to threaten that we're gonna kill all of them, because that would be the smart thing to do, and it wasn't a specific thing that they provided us to choose from, but that's our headcanon, and I chose the most vicious one, in expectation that something might happen, and might come out of that. So we're not just gonna blame the Sith because we're kinda aligned with them. What can I do? Defend yourself, I guess. How will you get me free? That's a good question. What is your line of defense, Selkath? I would first like to ask you a few questions regarding the events that led up to your arrest. I have already been given all relevant data on you and your companions, so that can be disregarded. For what reason did you enter the Sith Embassy? What are the evidence against me? Can you disregard them? I don't need to tell you, really. I was invited, I had authorization to enter, I broke in. Yeah, I was invited and I had authorization to enter. I had the passcode, I had the pass card, I had the multipass. So I was authorized to enter. Indeed, I find that unlikely, Off-Worlder, but perhaps the judges will be more sympathetic to your view. What is your prior association with the Sith? Oh, I was just their king, their god king. We don't have that option here though. But yeah, even though it's after after we learned that we were Revan, we don't get to say, yeah, I was Dark Lord of the Sith. At least we can't snitch on ourselves here. I have no prior association. I'm on a mission to stop them from taking over the galaxy. Yeah, whatever. Allegedly, right? I kill them whenever I can find them. Yeah, snitch on yourself some more. Either blow your cover or snitch on yourself. I have no prior association. Indeed, since you have a pass card to their base, I can only assume you believe taking this route would lessen your sentence. Very well. He says, since you have a pass card, that should be all the information I require of you for now. If you wish, we can begin the trial whenever you are ready. He himself says, you have the pass card. And then he says, previous to that, he said, I find that unlikely that you would have had that. Dude, you know that I have it. What the fuck is that line? Bitch. Not only do I have a pass card, but I also have a passcode. And I could have driven in from the backyard, or back door, from the back door too. Driven in? Yeah. Don't you need to ask more questions? Let's get the trial started. I think I'd rather represent myself. I have proved that the Sith are evil. Yeah. It sounds like that's not something that you want to give to this guy, because he seems incompetent and xenophobic, and also biased already. We're not starting the trial. I think I'd rather represent myself. Definitely, like I said, because of the xenophobes, and he had like 2 questions to us, and that's all he needs to defend us. Is he that good? Probably not. I never trust people enough to assume that that would be enough. But so this isn't gonna be one of those times that I would break my own rules. But don't you need to ask more questions? I have all the information I need. We should proceed now. The judges are waiting. How can you expect to defend me without getting more information? I think this trial is relatively straightforward. It should be obvious to the judges what has transpired. How about you share that with me so we can cooperate in our defense? No? Let's begin the trial. I have proved that Sith are evil. I think I'd rather represent myself. Why, that is your right. I strongly recommend against it. I'm versed in all the necessary particulars of this case and Selkath law, off-worlder. You would do well to heed my advice. You're not heeding my advice. You're not telling me what's the defense line so I don't blow your attempts also, right? Because there are cases, for instance, I think I talked about D&D, where Ashley Johnson was having a divorce and she was having a smear campaign against her husband or something like that. And the lawyers were like, bitch, not only are you not paying us, you're behind payment, but also you're doing shit that we told you not to do. You're lying to us. There's this rigor. We're dropping this case. Find someone else and stop doing this. Or stop doing this and find someone else. Heed our advice. And they just let. So, lawyers cannot collaborate with that. And if we start talking shit that completely ruins his line of defense, he could quit. Technically he can't because he's assigned by the government, but that's the point, right? Cooperate. Know what you should or shouldn't say. No, I'll represent myself. You off-worlders are not known for your mental prowess. I shall leave your demise up to you. I should have been racist to him with the last line. I was too quick to click something. Where are my glasses? You stand accused of the grievous murder of many Sith and extensive property damage to their embassy here. I don't think it would have been lessened. How do you plead? If you haven't blown up all the circuitry and help desks. Not guilty, guilty. I don't plead, I tell. Right. We're gonna definitely say not guilty, and we're not just gonna blow our cover, show our cards right away, I don't think. Yeah, not guilty. Let the record show that this trial has commenced. Presiding are judges Shalkar, Jhosa, Naleshekan, KotOR, and Dula. This trial is to determine the culpability and punishment of this individual in the recent assault on the Sith embassy. Given the severity of this trial, we can dispense with the normal formalities of the court and proceed directly. What does that mean? You don't skip formalities, that's when the formalities are the most important. You have pleaded not guilty, yet there were reports of weapons fire and detonations from within the Sith embassy. Yeah, so? There were reports? You were seen entering and leaving the embassy. The Sith have not conferred with the authorities about this matter, but from all available evidence, it would seem that you are the source of the disturbance. So what are the evidence? Since I'm representing myself, I should have access to them so I can prepare my line of defense. What is your explanation for being in the Sith embassy? I had the multipass. The Sith lured me inside. I was working for the Republic. Yeah, that's blowing some covers right in there. I was investigating this disappearance of young Selkath. Since we already omnisciently know about that, we might as well use it as a line of defense. We still don't. That's still weird. So we're not going for this. I was killing Sith. See? Simple. It was just a coincidence. I have this datapad as proof that the Sith are up to no good. So again, no one said anything's going wrong, and people heard explosions. We were having a fireworks show. What are the evidence? I would like to review them so I can prepare my line of defense. And with that, if only, because this trial is, you can pick any of these options, and I don't remember how they go down. Like, how hard can you snitch on yourself, and if it results in game over. But again, this is a situation for you to, you'd be able to win the trial with better responses than this. If only someone coded the options, if only someone had written the scenario better. Again, people are, like I talked about previously, people are getting better at graphic design, at high resolution texture, high fidelity models, more polygons. We've got better lighting engine, we've got better physics engine, we've got better water engines. But no one's getting better at coding and writing. All those gigabytes are going into graphics. And they shouldn't, right? Like I said, we're no longer trying to cram all this onto a disk, and we're downloading all this on our hard drives anyway, directly. And it's an issue only because it's like a standard now that all the dialogues are voiced, so every voice file takes up space, and also you have to pay the actors, the talents, for reading all that. But I say, drop that. Fucking go back to Morrowind, like I said, and just give us text, and only maybe hire a few people to lend their voice samples for use in a voice synthesizer, where they'll synthesize the text themselves so it won't take up space for every line of dialogue, or just record general like mood responses, whether it should be indignant or shocked or angry or friendly and such. Just a little bit of a mumble, essentially like what we've got with the alien speak here, and that would help convey the emotional context of the verbal message. And this is good because it would make the games be cheaper to make and faster to make, and also take up less space, which you could then fill up with actual scripting and predicting players' actions. And no one's getting better at that either. On contrary, people have actually gotten so much worse at that BioWare went from all these options in text to just a few options in Dragon Age Origins, and then to 3 options in Mass Effect, where it's polite, negative, and then neutral or sarcastic or joking, and then click left to ask more. So 3 responses as opposed to 7, 6. And just pay for voice acting. That's more important than coding and actually giving a player the freedom, especially in an RPG. Right, so one way or another we're in this situation where we're in trial, and we don't really have access to the collected evidence that they've got to prepare line of defense. But instead of trying to get ourselves out of this because the dialogue options are shit, we can enter a plea deal, only where we won't be pleading guilty in exchange for something so that our sentence is lowered. We're gonna enter a deal where we can deliver the actual culprit on a higher scale in exchange for our freedom, and maybe even diplomatic immunity, which would allow us to do more on the planet, like fuck up that woman, that Sith woman in one of the areas who tried to extort us for a few bucks. I have this datapad as proof that the Sith are up to no good. Let it be noted that the court has taken this new evidence into consideration. This is most disturbing. The court will adjourn for a brief period to verify this evidence and discuss its importance. And I can tell you the datapad that we're giving up is the datapad from the end of the area that talks about the training and such, and not the one about the sluices. We have verified that this is indeed a Sith datapad indicating their complicity in a plot to overthrow the lawful government of Manan. In gratitude for having discovered this heinous offense, all charges against you regarding this incident will be dropped. How about granting me diplomatic immunity? Pending a suitable penalty against the Sith, their embassy is considered off limits to all Ahto City security personnel. No calls or incidents from their base will be attended to until this matter is dealt with, as they are no longer subject to the protections of Selkath law. You have been found innocent and may leave as you desire. This trial is now over. This is more Selkath racism actually, because it's not that, because prisoners still have rights. You can't torture prisoners, you have to feed them and such, right? They have the right to an honest, lawful, a fair trial, and it's not just that you'll just disregard anyone who calls for help because they might or might not have been involved in any of this. So you should arrest everyone instead of just not responding to any distress calls, is one thing. But also, Sith Embassy is off limits to any security. So maybe since we're not getting a diplomatic, we can do both ways. Either we can headcanon the fact that we asked for diplomatic immunity and then we can act with impunity, or we'll just manipulate the Sith woman into the embassy, saying that, oh, we're undercover and we need her to, or like not even show our face for that, that we need her to sneak into the base and recover some important things so that the Sith Empire can be cleared of charges or lessen the charges, and then she'll come in and there we are, and we'll just murder her there and no one will go check it out because it's off limits. We can just pile bodies over there. We can manipulate her one way or another. We can manipulate anyone to show up there. We've got mind trick as well, and we're not doing this trial either. So that's it. We could have ended up in jail again, but fortunately we've entered a non-plea deal with them as like a crown witness or something institution. But that would be it for today. I'm gonna make my way back to the Republic Embassy. Thanks for watching, hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully we will see each other in something I play for you for free. In the meantime, of course, interact with this video and every other video on my channel, preferably by watching and sharing it with your friends. Subscribe, and if you don't like the content, it's entirely your fault. Also, we're not gonna go back to the bar to talk to the Selkath and tell him that we've discovered what's going on with the Selkath youth, because we declined that quest and we had no idea that anyone's looking. So there it is.